can actually, I can always do that. If something annoys me, if I don't appreciate that bit of darkness there, I can just get rid of it whilst it's still wet and add a bit of that there. Who's to say? There's no rules. No rules whatsoever. So I can do what I like. I will do what I like. And what I like is something like that. Another idea that I sometimes use is to stipple, which is like that, and it brings, oh yeah, it gives a texture. It also mixes the paint together in a random sort of a way, which a brush or my fingers couldn't do. That's going to be more interesting than it was a moment ago, because I've moved it all around. Still, yeah, okay. I like this because it's subtle. It's not too. It's a polish for old furniture. I'm just gonna try and get some sort of event in the middle of this. Oh, not happening. It might help. It might help to make it interesting as it's drying. I think. Well, we'll see what happens with this one. This one, what should we do? Let's see what happens when we roast white paint. Not forgetting that there's something else underneath as well. So, you see what's happening here? Mixing the water-based and the oil-based as usual. It gets all muddy, but it also does stuff in the middle. I think this could be interesting as it dries, but there's no guarantee. I'm tempted to burn it. I'm not even sure what happens when you burn white. I don't often do that. I tend to burn the dark colours, so I'm going to try it. And move it around a bit first as well. Here's what happens when I do the dribbling thing. And that could actually be interesting as it dries in a subtle sort of a way. But I can't wait, and I want to do this. So here we go. Careful. Also a flammable paint, this one, which is a shame about that, you see, so I can do that. Be considered interesting like that, but I'm going to mess with it again because there was just a bit here that didn't look right to me. And that's all it is, really. I'm just using my eye, albeit I've used my eye a lot in this fashion, so I've become a sort of expert in my own living room. But it's really just about me deciding when I like it and trusting that if that's the case, other people will like it. And I believe that's simply a fact. That what I'm doing is using it's not even knowledge, it's sort of body experience. My body is used to doing this stuff and seeing and knowing instinctively what's going to happen more than using my brain. You'll notice how quickly I tend to work, and that's without really even, because I'm not really even thinking very much about it. It sort of focuses the interest where it, and if I do that, look, well. In many ways, I tend to be making it look as if it was a natural event. Nobody could try to paint something like that. Yeah? It has to be a natural event, like burning and such. So I'm almost trying to copy the process of nature and erosion not erosion, but the weathering. So this I like it. Perhaps I should leave it like that. It looks a bit. Actually, I don't like the fact that you can see my brush strokes because I try and avoid it looking like I did anything to it. However, in the context of the centre of it, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to dribble some stuff down that. So this is what, when I'm not being manic, I'm careful to set it up as I want it, and then do my dribbling. So I think it's going to work this way. I tend to like things portrait rather than landscape. I should do it this way. I don't like it. It was better before, but that's quite often the case, that I make mistakes. Mistakes. There aren't any. However, what I'm saying is I think it was more interesting before. What do I do to correct that? I could simply do something like that. And I could always, of course, burn it again. But the problem, in my opinion, was possibly that I was just simply too careful. If I'm less careful, like that, and then let it dribble, it is actually more effective this time because I was less careful to try and make it unanimously across. This looks effective to me. If I can let that. And with the dribbling, there's usually a point I let it get to, maybe about here, because I don't want it to go all the way, usually. I like to be able to see the ends of the dribbles, because that's often the most interesting point. So this is good, in the sense that it already looks interesting, and once it's dried, it should be more interesting. So I'm going to put that there. Yeah. The dribbling has taken away the obviousness of the frame. It's dispersed that squareness of it, and your eye focuses on the dribbles and their organicness. Therefore, you think less about the squareness of it, in my opinion. But that's a critic's job to say why it works. My job is to make it work in the sense that it pleases the eye. It's that simple, and I think that does, actually. I think that does.